Joining us now, Walter Jones, Congressman, Republican, 3rd District, North Carolina. Where's that, you say? Along the banks, from Ocracoke Island all the way up the coast to Southeast Virginia, all points in between, like Elizabeth City and stuff like that. It's got a big district and a beautiful district, by the way. Outer Banks, one of my favorite places to be. And he's joining us now, Walter Jones. Congressman Jones, good to have you.
I always get quite a bit out of your comments, so thank you.
Okay, well, look, here's the deal in Alabama, and I want to get your take on it. I don't think Alabama voters are stupid. I really don't. I don't think they're dumb. 3 things happened. Number 1, the exit poll on CNN said 50% didn't think he was telling the truth. They believe the accusers. That's not a good number when you're running for the U.S. Senate and somebody's accused you of touching an underage girl. Not good. Second thing, again, Walter Jones, the Democrats getting a massive turnout in their strongholds, 75% turnout to the presidential election in a special, unheard of. Same thing happened a month ago in Virginia. Number 3, the Republicans that voted for Doug Jones, and there were many of them, simply didn't feel comfortable with this candidate in there. But you can't overlook the fact that the Democrats are getting a massive level of enthusiasm, right?
Yeah. Well, John, I tell you, the thing, we got the same issue up here in Congress. You see where Franken's stepping down, Conya's stepping down. We got Republican who's in trouble from Texas. It's the times we're in. I say this frequently on your show. There is so much discord, so to speak. And when you have all these issues with Mr. Moore by these women 25, 30 years ago, we don't know, but the point is it hurts. There's no two ways about it. I don't know Mr. Moore at all, but these women coming forward, I saw several of them interviewed on TV, and they were very emotional, which is understandable. There are so many things that are playing into politics today. You mentioned Virginia. It's one of those times in our country that there is just a lot of distrust of institutions, and especially government and those who are in government. And I was in a news conference recently with Gretchen Carlson, who sued Fox, and
yes.
It's just a bill that's been introduced in the Senate and the House, and I'm a co-sponsor on the House bill. Deals with forced arbitration, it's the times we're in. It's hard to predict, to be honest with you. It's hard to predict.
Now, truth be told, Congressman, on my show for several times, you said you're not comfortable with Moore. You thought he should have stepped aside for someone else. You were clear on that. It turns out, Congressman Walter Jones, you were spot on. You were right.
Well, I go back without being repetitive to what I was saying. I felt that with those allegations out there that it was going to damage him, and I didn't think he really had, other than saying, well, they're not telling the truth. I don't know how he could have said much more than that, but that did not answer the question. Again, it's the environment we're in. We are in an environment of the most serious lack of trust of elected officials I've seen in my service, to be honest with you. It's one sexual assault situation after another. I was with a fellow yesterday I know for a long time. He's one of the editors of the Hill magazine, and we were having a conversation, and he said, well, my understanding is there are going to be more to come out in the next few weeks. So, members of Congress who have some type of sexual misconduct. I don't know to what degree, but it does play into state politics like the Senate race in Alabama. So, then you got the president's had 16 women. I don't know if they're telling the truth or not, who said that there was sexual misconduct with their relationship. And I think it really is the American people are looking for somebody that, male or female, that they can say, I trust that person. So I think it's a matter of trust. I really do.
All right. So, look, you mentioned in this press conference that you talked to the editor of The Hill who said there were many more allegations going to come out. Are you talking about out of the House and the Senate, out of Congress?
Well, he was talking about Congress, and he didn't really know anything inside. He just said that the speculation, supposedly, the Washington Post was last weekend, but I guess because of the Senate race in Alabama, they were supposed to produce an article that had 2 or 3 members of Congress's name who right now in front of the Ethics Committee. But my friend with the Hill did not know any names, and I wouldn't ask him anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess Congressman Jones, we're going to find out soon enough. Okay, so let's go to the tax cut reconciliation. We expect to vote on that, Congressman, next week. Is there anything that could get you to change your mind and vote for the Trump tax cut?
Well, I am going to take a look at it. I haven't seen it yet, the bill, but they're still writing it as we're talking. But I'm willing to look at it. But again, my biggest concern has been, you've heard it many times, we continue to grow the debt of the nation. It's growing right now as you and I are talking. We are right at $2.5 trillion, and I don't know how much longer we keep going down this road before we collapse. I mean, it's just unbelievable, really.
The only thing is, though, the alternative is the status quo, right? I mean, like, you're not going to get a bill passed to cut spending, especially in the environment we're in now. Now the Republicans only with basically a tie in the Senate. So I guess my question would be, I mean, are you satisfied with the status quo, or maybe you take a shot that the economy might grow and we might get enough revenues in that the deficit comes down?
Well, when you have to make the decision, and we will make the decision before next week, again, I try to, with my staff's help, John, I try to look at the outside economic groups that are really not Democrat or Republican. They're trying to, like the Pete Peterson Foundation, he runs ads all the time with the little babies at the end of it saying, are they going to be able to pay for the debt of this nation and things like that. I would like to believe that the tax cuts will pay for themselves. At this point, from my research, I'm not convinced it's going to pay for itself. Obviously, I would rather, I heard Mr. Ryan's comments before you got me on the show, and I would honestly like to believe what he's saying, and maybe it will be true. But when you have to make a decision today as to what it's going to be 10 years from now, hopefully a member of Congress, whether they vote for it or against it, have done the proper research to come to a decision, either yes or no.
Well, I respect that, and you've been consistent, Walter Jones, in everything that you've done, so I certainly appreciate that. Let's get back to this war in Afghanistan, right? Another 5,000 troops the president committing or allowing to be sent there. Have you gotten any response back from Paul Ryan on when they're going to allow a debate on the floor on AUMF, even though he's promised you that? He's promised that to Mo Brooks. He promised it to Scott Taylor. What's the deal here? I mean, is this just a ploy, just a facade, or what?
Well, I actually, to give you an answer, I don't trust the speaker to give us that debate. I talked to Pete Sessions yesterday. The bill that John Garamendi and I put in to have a debate on whether we should stay or come home from Afghanistan was sent to 2 committees, the Foreign Relations Committee, the chairman's Ed Royce, and also the Rules Committee, which is Pete Sessions. I talked to him yesterday, and I said, Pete, I just don't understand why members in Congress, they're frustrated in both parties because we don't have regular order. Can't you give us a debate, even if you don't give us a vote? Give us a debate in the committee. And he told me, he said, well, I'll talk to Ed Royce and see if maybe we can do something in January. In fact, a group of us are going to hold a hearing on the fact that we cannot get a debate on an AUMF. It will not be in a formal committee hearing, but we got 2 or 3 Democrats, 2 or 3 Republicans, and we're going to hold it just like a regular committee hearing and bring in witnesses. And that's how sad it is. What should be a regular order, committee to floor, debate, vote. We just don't do it. And I think it's a legal denial of every member of Congress who takes the oath of office to follow the Constitution, and the part of the Constitution talks about war.
Congressman, what are they afraid of?
I don't know. I think it really comes down to the fact that we, for whatever reason, we cannot police the world. We spend billions and billions of dollars in blood and legs and arms, and yet what are we changing around the world? We just continue to go down this path, and we do not have a debate, and you've been frustrated by it. I've been frustrated, many members of Congress in both parties. And we're going to continue this little meeting we're going to have in January. I just mentioned a committee, a hearing on the fact that we can't even get a debate.
But, I mean, it's like deja vu all over again, right? I mean, I keep having everybody on. We keep having these discussions. We keep getting promises. We've even got Tim Kaine involved. I mean, he's been on the forefront of this forever. This guy ran for vice president. You think he'd have some weight in the Senate. You would think, right? Nothing. I mean, crickets and lies.
You talk about the swamp. I think it's the influence of money, and the military-industrial complex is making a lot of money. And so I think they indirectly have influence on whether we debate to get out or not. I don't know. It's hard to figure this thing out.
It's all about the money. You just got to follow the money, Congressman. Yep. They don't care about the body bags. They just care about how much money they make. Let me give you an example, and then we have to take off.
Sure.
Eric Prince, I'm no fan, okay, for obvious reasons. That was a guy, Blackwater, remember, all that made bajillions of dollars. So as an alternative in Afghanistan, so he goes and makes a proposal, okay, that he would control the security effort. So like the government would pay this guy billions of dollars, and then he would hire mercenaries and train them, buy the equipment. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I mean, this guy's business is set up on people dying on the battlefield. It's incredible. And he was actually entertained like this was a serious proposal.
I remember, and I think that would be one of the worst things to happen to the American taxpayer is to have somebody that's in the private sector to create an army situation. I don't think we'd have any control.
War machine.
I mean, once he gets paid, you cut his money off, but I don't know how you control what he does.
Look, Eisenhower was right. Last thing he said, getting out of office, beware of the military-industrial complex and the money it generates. You'll never get rid of it. Exactly right. Congressman, I'm out of time. I got to go.